Yo, welcome back to Son of a Preacher Man. As always, I'm your host, Soapman. Now, in my last episode, I was running a little short on time. I had to cut it short. And so I had to split my last episode into two parts. Therefore, I present to you One Last Rant, Part 2. I'm anxious to get back to Bible, y'all, so let's get right into it. In my last episode, I finished off talking about Rabbi Manis Friedman. And so I'm going to pick up right where I left off. But before I do, I want to make a correction to a mistake that I made last episode. In my last episode, I said Rabbi Manis Friedman practiced as an Orthodox Jew. And I was wrong about that. After doing some further research, I found that he is a Hasidic Jew. So he practices some kind of religion or faith called Hasidic. I'm not really sure how different that is than Orthodox, other than, they just like way more deep into, their studies, and they look at things a bit differently than traditional practitioners of Orthodox Judaism. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, I know what being an Hasidic Jew is all about. If you want to go on some of his YouTube sites, I think he can explain it better than I can. So in my last video, we talked about Manis Friedman's video, David and Bathsheba. It didn't make sense until now. And I talked about how Rabbi Friedman attempted to say that David didn't commit a sin when he had Bathsheba's husband killed. And I did my best to show that not only did I disagree with Rabbi Friedman, but that the scripture and even David himself disagreed with his views also. And although I like Rabbi Friedman, I had to give him the Coons status for what he was trying to say. His viewpoints just didn't align up with scripture at all, and I couldn't let that ride. He got a little dirty. The Soapman had to clean him up. Nothing personal, Rabbi Friedman. Nothing personal. So, like I was saying, he was talking about, if you don't know the story of David and Bathsheba, David saw a woman, Bathsheba, bathing on her rooftop. He slept with her, got her pregnant, and in an attempt to cover it up, had her husband, Uriah the Hittite, a soldier in his army, had him killed. In the most underhanded way, he delivered Uriah the Hittite's death sentence in a note by the hand of Uriah himself. And Manis Friedman tried to say, well, this wasn't a sin technically, and, Uriah was a spy, he was a traitor, and he wasn't really married to Bathsheba, and the only reason David prayed to God for forgiveness was because he was afraid of how it would look. Well, in my last episode, I debunked all that, and I had to call Rabbi Friedman a coon, and so that's what we're going to pick up right now. And if you disagree, please leave a comment in the in the comment section. If you got a comment, or just let me know what you think about it. Right now, I'm gonna go to see what my man Gollum think about this and get his opinion.
They stole it from us. Sneaky little hobbitses. Wicked, tricksy first.
Now, I tend to agree on Gollum with his assessment of Rabbi Manis Friedman. Matter of fact, I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, in this next slide, I'm not sure what this guy's name is. I take it he's a rabbi because of the way he looks, and he's got that little yarmulke hat on his dome. At the beginning of the video, he says his name is Daniil, and he's part of the Amuna or Muna project. It's about inspiration, education, and I don't know what else he says. Well, let me see what he says. Hold on, because I put his video up here.
Hello, I'm Daniil, and welcome to the Amuna Project. We here at the Amuna Project are continuing in our series of videos of education, inspiration, information, guidance.
Okay, education, inspiration. What did he say? Education, inspiration. Jesus. It's gonna bother me.
We here at the Amuna Project are continuing in our series of videos of education, inspiration, information,
Okay, education, inspiration, information, and guidance. And his name is Daniil. And I got the title of his video here. It says Moses, slow of speech, slow of tongue. Now let me explain what that means. I muted him because I ain't got time to listen to his whole video, but I put his videos, the site where you can get to it if you want to watch it for yourself. So what Daniil is saying here and what he's explaining is he's revealing a great mystery in the Bible that's highly debated, and it has to do with Moses being slow of speech. The Bible says that when God told Moses to go tell Pharaoh to free his people, Moses made up all these different excuses to why he didn't want to do it, why he wasn't the right person to do it. And one of the excuses he made was he said, I'm slow of speech. That's what he tells God. I'm slow of speech. Now, a lot of people don't know what this means. It's been a big debate. Not really a debate, but a lot of people have an opinion on what that means, what Moses means when he says he's slow of speech. Most people think it means that he stutters. For a long time, I thought that that's what it meant also. He had a stutter. But then I heard another guy online give a different idea that I kind of gravitated to. He said, well, look, Moses hadn't been in Egypt for over 40 years. He didn't speak Egyptian as well as he used to. So he was slow of the Egyptian tongue. So Daniil, he goes through the various possibilities of what that could mean, that Moses was slow of speech. And then he gives the correct answer. He says that when Moses was a child, he was a child prodigy, and the Egyptians were very suspicious of him. There was a prophecy saying that a Hebrew child would grow and be reared and bring the Egyptian people low and raise up the Hebrew people out of their affliction. And a lot of the Egyptian higher-ups in the royal household and in the royal government, a lot of Pharaoh's close friends and scribes and prophets, they suspected that Moses was the fulfillment of this prophecy. So Daniil here, he reveals why Moses says he was slow of speech. And he's correct in his revelation. He says that when Moses was a young child, the Pharaoh and the scribes had him tested. They brought a tray of hot coals on one tray and put it before Moses, and they grabbed another tray of bright, shiny jewels and set it also in front of Moses to try to see which one would he go for, the bright, shiny jewels or the tray of hot coals. So as the story goes, Moses at first reaches for the tray of bright, shiny jewels. Of course, that's what a kid is going to do. He going to go for the bright, shiny object. He's a kid. He's probably going to think it's a toy. But as Moses went for the jewels, the story goes that God stopped him and guided his hands towards the hot coal. So now what did Moses do when he grabbed the hot coal? He did what any baby would do. He put it to his mouth. Babies put all kind of stuff in their mouth. That's why they end up with all kind of infections and diseases. One of the big diseases that babies get is hand, foot, mouth disease. Literally the evidence that babies always putting stuff in their mouth. So when Moses grabs the hot coal and puts it to his mouth, he burns and scars his mouth, which makes him slow of speech. And this is what the rabbi reveals in his video. Now here's the problem I have with Daniil here. That story comes from Flavius Josephus. Flavius Josephus was a Jewish historian that lived around 70 AD, and he wrote a book called The Antiquities of the Jews, and that's where that story comes from. But Daniil doesn't say that. He just passes the story off like he just came up with it on his own. So I'm taking it like Daniil really just trying to stroke his own ego here. He gives no reference whatsoever to Flavius Josephus. He doesn't give Flavius Josephus his props. He just tells the story and ends the video like it's just his esoteric mind only that just came up with this. All it would have had taken was an entire 10 seconds to say, hey, this information comes from Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus. See, look, it just took less than 10 seconds. Give the man his props, dude. You didn't come up with this information. Flavius Josephus did. And so I had to put Daniil on blast. Daniil, you dirty, so Soapman had to clean you up. But you know what? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Am I being too hard on Daniil? Let me know what you think, but I'd like to defer to see what my man Gollum think.
They stole it from us. Sneaky little hobbitses. Wicked, tricksy, fierce.
You know, once again, I have to agree with Gollum. Matter of fact, I couldn't have said it better myself. Well put, Gollum. Well put. Moving on. This is Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro is an American conservative political commentator, a media host, an attorney, and a columnist. He is also a Harvard Law School graduate and an Orthodox Jew, and I am right about this time. I looked him up. He is a practitioner of Orthodox Judaism. You may have seen clips of Mr. Shapiro on YouTube under the title Ben Shapiro Destroys Whoever It Is He's Debating. That's how most of his titles to his movie clips and YouTube videos, that's how most of the videos are entitled. Ben Shapiro Destroys Whoever It Is, because that's what Ben Shapiro does. That's what he's most famous for, destroying his opponents that would dare try to debate him. So most of his YouTube videos are going to be titled Ben Shapiro Destroys Whoever the Poor Soul or Individual May Be. This is because anytime anyone tries to debate Mr. Shapiro, he utterly humiliates and destroys them. The reason for this is that Ben Shapiro is usually the smartest person in the room. Various people of various backgrounds, whether they are college students, media personalities, or political analysts, come to challenge him, totally unprepared with the facts or totally unaware of just who it is they are challenging. And they pay for it severely. One exception, and frankly the only exception that I know of, is when Mr. Shapiro appeared on The Guardian, which is on the BBC, for an interview with host Andrew Neil. In this particular case, it was Ben Shapiro who was unprepared and didn't know who he was up against. Now, when I think of Ben Shapiro, the words dork or nerd come to mind. You know, he was one of those guys who was in your classroom and he was like the smartest person in your class, and you knew that you would probably end up working for him like later on in life. I also think to myself, this is the guy that, you know, you can gain a lot of knowledge from if you was his friend. Like if you was his friend, you was probably gonna get good grades in class if he let you cheat off his test paper. But he was probably the type of prick who would not let you cheat off his test paper. I have a lot of respect for the guy, and I agree with him on most issues. When it comes to gun laws, I agree with him. When it comes to homosexuality and transgender issues, for the most part, I agree with him. I agree with him on foreign policy. I even agree with him on Donald Trump. Well, at least I used to. You see, in 2016, Ben Shapiro stated that he would not be voting for Donald Trump. He even went so far as to list the reasons why. He basically said that Donald Trump was a liar. As a matter of fact, he made a whole separate video showing and going through various points of how big of a liar Donald Trump was. That was what the video was titled. It was titled, Donald Trump is a Liar. And the whole video was about how Donald Trump is a liar. And he was spot on, point by point by point, because Donald Trump is the biggest liar probably to ever set foot on television or to step in the public eye. Nobody has outdone him on lies. I think, Politico did a lie check on him to count how many lies that he told during his presidency, and it was in like the tens of thousands. It was like absolutely ridiculous. So he basically said that Donald Trump was a liar. He said that Donald Trump was morally bereft, and those I'm paraphrasing, but also accurate. Donald Trump is void of all morals and values. And he also cited Trump's abysmal relationship with women, which includes his multiple divorces, the hush money he sent to Playboy employee and escort Stormy Daniels, to which he was later sued by her, sexual harassment and rape allegations, and his embarrassing and widely publicized so-called locker room talk, which was recorded and later aired on national television. Mr. Shapiro, like as I said before, even made an entire YouTube video titled Donald Trump is a Liar. Even when Mr. Shapiro was encouraged, and I would go so far as to say threatened by his superiors and employers for a job he worked at, they threatened him to tone down his criticism of Donald Trump. And Ben Shapiro seemed to stand his ground. And these are the things I like about Ben Shapiro. He's just an upstanding guy. Even though he's a Republican and a conservative, he's honest. And I like that about him. But in 2020, Ben Shapiro had a change of heart. This time around, Ben said he would in fact be voting for Trump. And here are his reasons why. He said that he was wrong on Trump as far as his policies, meaning he liked Trump's policies. He didn't think Trump was going to pass certain laws that he passed, and Trump ended up passing them. He didn't think Trump was going to be as strict and stringent and as adamant about pushing the conservative agenda, and he was wrong about that. Ben Shapiro saying, I was wrong about that. He was strong on conservative Republican policies. I was wrong about him. I like that about him. So that was reason one why he said this time around in 2020 he would be voting for Donald Trump. Now the second reason was he said that although he was right about Trump's character, meaning Trump is in fact morally bereft and void of all values, he said though he was right about Trump's characters, that Trump had already done all the damage that his flawed character could do, and that his vote for or against Trump would therefore not make a difference. The third reason he said was that, and I quote, Democrats have lost their fucking minds, unquote. Okay, Ben, you just got Trump juice spilled all over you, so it's time the Soapman cleaned you up now. Ben is smarter than me, like most of his opponents, but I'm not using my own wisdom here. I'm using God's wisdom. Ben, I don't know if you've heard this verse before, Romans 8:31. It says something along the lines of, if God be for us, who can stand against us? I don't know, Bill. I don't know, Benjamin, I don't know. Maybe you've heard that verse before. I'm trying to say your name correctly because I know you the type of person that likes to die on the hill of semantics, but we're not going to get into semantics today. We're going to use your own words against you. Let's start with your position on race relations. Now that wasn't one of your three, but I want to start there. In one of Ben's videos, now I have to say I at least halfway agree with Ben on race relations. But in one of his videos, he was asked if government policies such as affirmative action, but not just limited to affirmative action, government policies or other policies that benefit lower income communities, such as black people, should the government institute policies like affirmative action or other policies that benefit lower income families? Should the government play a role in doing that? Should the government be doing that these days? And this is what Ben's reply was. He said that, I think that anytime government attempts to remedy post-discrimination by the use of current discrimination, all they're doing is effectuating discrimination. Nah, I'm not making fun of Ben. That's how he talks. He said, I think that anytime government, hold on, I'm trying to imitate this dude, but he talks so fast. He said that, I think that anytime government attempts to remedy past discrimination by the use of current discrimination, all they're doing is effectuating discrimination. That's what he said. That's how he said it. That's how he talks. Like Porky Pig. That's all, folks. That's how he talks. That's how he sounds when he talks. Let me clarify the question. The question he was asked was, should the government institute policies to help lower income families like black families? Because it was government policies, initial government policies like slavery, that hurt lower income families like black families in the first place. So if they instituted policies back in the day to hurt us, should they be instituting policies nowadays to help us? And Ben's answer was, I think anytime the government attempts to remedy past discrimination with current discrimination, all they're doing is effectuating discrimination. Really, Ben? So, let me explain to Ben what affirmative action is. And that's just one policy. See, Ben, back in the days, people wouldn't give us jobs. It had nothing to do with our character or skin level. It had everything to do with it had nothing to do with our character or skill level. It had everything to do with our skin color. So we were racistly discriminated against because we were black. And regardless to how good or potentially good we would have been at a job or in a skill set, we were denied the opportunity because we were black. So the government stepped in with policies like affirmative action, and they said, you have to give us a job, or at least a small quantity of us a job. Doesn't that seem fair, Ben? But you're saying anytime the government tries to remedy past discrimination with current discrimination, what is the current discrimination? Ben, what you're saying is that when the government does things like affirmative action, they're discriminating against who? The whole point of affirmative action was because we were being discriminated against. It was a way to level the playing field. And as smart as you are, I know you know that. Aren't you a daisy, Ben? What you're basically saying is all the black people start here at this red line and everybody else gets to start 3 miles ahead. Okay, that's fair, go. No. Don't whine and complain. Just run faster. Ben, you're a Jew. You practice Orthodox Judaism. What you're essentially telling us is forgive, forget. Let bygones be bygones. That was in the past. Start new and afresh here. But let me ask you, is that what your parents taught you? You ever heard of the Holocaust? Is that what your parents taught you? Oh, forgive, forget. Is that what your grandparents taught you? Is that what was passed down through your family? Oh, let bygones be bygones. Forgive and forget. Don't complain. Or were you taught to never forget? Well, I'm going to tell you, Ben, we ain't going to forget, brother, okay? We ain't going to forget. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you forget, as Louis Farrakhan once said, when you forget, history has a tendency of repeating itself. No way we going to let that happen, Ben. No way. Another question Ben was asked was about, critical race theory. People teaching children about basically all the evils that was done to black people and other immigrants, but mainly black people. Now, Ben says that parents and taxpayers and citizens should have a say-so in what their children are taught. And I agree. If you want to teach critical race theory, I have no problem with it being a college course. But if taxpayers and citizens and people of the community, they're paying taxes, they should absolutely have a say in what their children are being taught. And you shouldn't be feeding them anything. You can just leave it in the history books, that one little small ass section about slavery. I don't mind, because here's why. What you don't learn in school, you gonna learn in these streets. Better to learn it in the safety of a school or an institution than in these streets, because learning it in these streets, I don't know, Ben, it might not be so safe. You know what I'm saying? Black people ain't never gonna forgive and forget, and we ain't never gonna let white folks forgive. We ain't never gonna let white folks forget either. So you can put it off until college, or until you get into the workplace, or till you get into a fast food joint, that's what I mean by the street. It don't matter to me where you learn it. Best to learn it in school. But if you want to learn it on the street, be my guest. Because that's what's going to happen. What you don't learn in the streets, and what you don't learn at home, what your parents don't teach you, and what these teachers don't teach you, these coons and goons in the street is gonna let you know. And they might not be so focused on education when they do. Now on Trump. These are the 3 reasons that Ben gave for why he's voting for Trump this time around in 2020. Not this current time around, but in 2020. These are the 3 reasons that Ben gave. He said, first of all, he was wrong about Trump on policies, meaning he likes Trump's policies. He admitted that the man was a liar, but he likes his policies. He admitted that the man was morally bereft and void of all value, but he likes his policies. Now, the man is utterly corrupt, lies at every turn, but you think he does a great job. Who does that sound like? Who does that remind me of, Ben? Oh, I know. The devil. Ben, if you like Trump so much, if you like his policies, even though he's a corrupt snake in the grass, even though he's an absolute piece of shit, but you think he does a good job, why not just sell your soul to the devil? Because that's what you're describing. The devil does a damn good job at his job too. He's damn good at his job. Look around. The man is successful. He's the prince of thieves. He's the prince of liars. He has absolutely no values whatsoever. He doesn't care who he hurts as long as he takes as many souls with him on his way out. He doesn't care how many people he hurt and kill. He doesn't care about how cruel he is. but he's good at his job. Like Donald Trump. Hell, they might be one and the same. Ben's second reason was that although he was right about Trump's character, meaning that Trump basically has no character other than a money-grubbing, orange-faced slug, although he was right about Trump's character, his vote wouldn't matter because Trump had already done all the damage that his flawed character could possibly do. First of all, Ben, you smarter than that. Don't underestimate Donald Trump. He was just getting started. And if your vote doesn't matter, then don't vote. See, Ben, everybody or most people know how important a vote is. Black people especially. We fought too hard and too long to have a vote. We're still fighting long and hard to have a vote. So you're not going to tell, or you're not going to convince, at least me of all people, you're not going to convince me that a vote doesn't matter. Every vote matters. Every one single vote matters. But if that's the way you feel, then don't vote. Why would you cast a vote for a person who you yourself said has no morals? Who you yourself made an entire video about how big of a liar he was? The third reason that Ben said he would be voting for Donald Trump in 2020 was because Democrats are fucking crazy, or Democrats have lost their fucking mind, I think is what he said. Well, Ben, if that's true, it's because crazy begets crazy. You see, Republicans act so stupid and take such cheap shots, like this Roe v. Wade law that they just passed, denying women certain, rights to manage their own health care. A law passed by a stacked Supreme Court, which was corruptly stacked by a corrupt president, after Obama was wrongfully denied a Supreme Court nomination. Look, man, I'm not even finna get into it because I don't want to make this video longer than it should be. But Ben, in order to beat the devil, sometimes you must become the devil. So if Democrats have lost their effing mind, it's because Republicans drove them to lose their effing minds. If Democrats are crazy, it's because Republicans drove them to craziness, to insanity. Crazy begets crazy. One ill turn deserves another. Ben. You got to do better, brother. You got to do better. I hope your supporters see this, and I hope they get it to you. Yo, I want to thank y'all for joining me for this short episode of Son of a Preacher Man. One last rant, part 2. And I mean it this time. This is my last rant. Next episode, we get back to Bible. And I'm very, very excited and anxious to do that. So, once again, if you have any comments, suggestions, or criticism, please, I'm open to them all. Leave them in the comments section. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode. Same soap time, same soap channel. And I'm out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you very much. Next episode, we'll be picking up with a review of my 13th video, which was called Moses, Hyksos, Pharaoh. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a big video. It's personal to me. Man, please check it out. Once again, leave a comment, criticism, or suggestion in the comment section. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.